All right, 0.4 units in basic rate problems. Objectives. Students will be able to convert units and use them to solve basic rate problems. And this is going to include some word problems. What you have here is a huge just chart of conversions, all the things that are equal to each other. For example, 1 mile is 1,760 yards, or 5,280 feet, or 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters, which is 1,000 cubic centimeters. So there's a whole bunch of information here. These are all the things that we will most commonly see in this class, but there are things that are more than this, okay? There's a lot more out there than this. So, in fact, we can get into currency. We can get into the fact that, like, you know, the American dollar is worth about 15 Mexican pesos, right? So there's all different types of conversions that we can do. But the same math can be applied across the board. So that's the important thing that I want you guys to know here. Is if we just have a system for converting units, converting any type of units, we can use that with anything. And at Buckingham, we have a system that works really well. It works in our math class, it works in our science class. It works really well for converting units. And the basic thing is this, is that we can make a little chart. Looks something like this. And we can have as many lines here as we need. For this one, we're not going to need that many. And I like to always start with whatever it is I'm going to end with. For example, here, they want us to convert 2 yards. So I'm going to start with 1 yard. And I'm going to ask myself, is there anything that I know about yards, especially when it has to do with feet? Well, let's look up here at the chart. Yeah, 1 yard equals 3 feet. So, since 1 yard and 3 feet are the same, I can put 3 feet right here below it. Now, I'm always going to try and get units to cancel out. So I need something on top that'll cancel out with this feet. Well, look at this. I happen to know that I have 48 feet. So I'm going to just go ahead and put 48 feet there. Notice now, all this is multiplying and dividing. Just one big long division bar. So if my units cancel out and all I have left is the units that I want, which is yards, I'm ready to go. So I have 1 times 48 divided by 3. So the math looks like this. If I'm just going to go off to the side, it looks like 1 times 48 divided by 3, and then yards is all that's left. And we need that to be on top. It needs to end on top. Okay, real simple. Obviously, we don't need the 1 there, right? Because 1 times 48 is just 48. So we could just say, hey, this is the same thing as 48 divided by 3 yards, and 48 divided by 3 is 16. So 16 yards is our answer. Okay, so I know it looks a little confusing. I made this chart and this math on the side. So let's just kind of just go over again what I did really. I know that I want to convert to yards, so I started with whatever I want to end with. Okay, I want to end with yards. So I wrote down yards, and then I wrote down what I knew is equal to yards. Basically because these two things are equivalent. 1 yard is the same thing as 3 feet. Mathematically, if I have two things that are equivalent on top of each other, for example, 5 is equivalent to 5, well, that just equals 1. So in math, we're allowed to say, hey, I have one whole thing times by this. And all I'm doing is I'm going to times it by 1 yard over 3 feet intentionally to cancel out my feet units. If you don't understand the math behind that, that's not really important. All you have to do is know the system here. The system is simply, what do I want to end with? I want to end with yards. What's something I know about yards? I know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. And since I have feet on bottom and I want to cancel out feet, I don't want units and feet anymore, I'm going to put what I know about feet up here on top. Okay, and this can get more and more complicated. We could add a lot of things to it. It doesn't really matter how many things we add to it. The process is the same. So let's go on to another one here. All right, I want to convert 3.56 kilometers to centimeters. Okay, so I'm going to start with centimeters. What do I know about centimeters? So let's go up here and look and see if there's anything up here that I know about centimeters. Well, I don't have anything that directly gets me from centimeters to kilometers, but I can see that centimeters can get me to meters, and meters can get me to kilometers. So this is going to be 2 conversions. And that's fine. So let's first talk about what we know here. We know that 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. So let's write that down. I know that I'm going to deal with centimeters. What do I know about centimeters? I know that 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. Okay, I'm still not there yet. I have centimeters and meters, so I need to somehow get from meters to kilometers. So I'm going to need meters up here. I'm going to want it to cancel out, right? So where do I have some information about meters and hopefully kilometers? Well, I know that 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. So there's something else that I know. So I can put those on top of each other. So 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. Okay, now I'm in business. I got kilometers. I also started with, they gave me kilometers. They started with that, so I can say, hey, I happen to have 3.56 kilometers right now. And look, my units cancel out. Meters cancel out. Kilometers cancel out. Now, what's the math that's left? I have 100. I have 1,000. I have 3.56. On the bottom, I just have 1 and 1. So technically, the math looks like this. 100 times 1,000 times 3.56 divided by 1 times 1. Now, I don't really need to worry about this 1 times 1, right? Because 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 on the bottom is the same thing. It's not having it there at all. So all I really have to worry about is this 100 times 1,000 times 3.56. Well, it may be a big number, but that's not that big a deal. We can just put in our calculator, and we should get 356,000 centimeters. There are 356,000 centimeters and 3.56 kilometers. Okay, so we had to do it twice, but no big deal, right? We just kind of found our path. We wrote down centimeters first on top. We asked, what do we know about centimeters? We know that 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. We still didn't get to kilometers yet, so we said, well, what do we know about meters? Well, we know that 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer, and we started with 3.56 kilometers. So we ended up with just centimeters as our unit, and we get 356,000 of them. Okay, hopefully you're catching on to the system here. I'm just starting off asking, hey, what do I know about the unit they want me to end in? That's kind of the question that I'm asking. All right. Let's go 5 gallons to liters. Now let's look up here and see if we see any link from gallons to liters. All right, first of all, remember I want to end with liters, so I'm just going to go ahead and put liter on top. And I got to ask myself, what is something I know about liters? Okay, so let's look up here. Well, I know that 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters and 1,000 cubic centimeters. That may or may not help me, because I'm trying to get to gallons, and I don't know if I have anything that gives me cubic centimeters to gallons. So let's keep looking here. I have 1 cup to 8 ounces. No, I don't have anything with cups or ounces here. Oh, here we go. I have 1 ounce to 29.5735 milliliters. Okay, so now we're on to something. I can definitely go from liters to milliliters, and then I should be able to go from liters to ounces. And now I could go from ounces to gallons. Okay, so it looks like there's a lot, but I'm going to have to go from liters to milliliters, milliliters to ounces, ounces to gallons. So it's a few steps, but still a real simple process. So what's something I know about a liter? Let's go up here one more time. I know that 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. So let's go ahead and write that. 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. Okay, now what's next? Well, I'm going to have to go from milliliters to ounces. So I'm going to put the milliliter up here because remember I want the units to cancel out. And I know that's an ml there just in case ml. Okay, I know that 29.5735 milliliters is equal to 1 ounce. And finally, I need to go from ounces to gallons. And right here, I have 128 ounces equals 1 gallon. So I can say 128 ounces equals 1 gallon. And finally, now that gets me to the unit that I started with 5 gallons. So I have 5 gallons. I know I'm taking up a lot of space here. I'm just trying to get it all worked out there. I'll have to do part D off to the side here. But now, I know this is a tricky one. I know there's a lot going on, but look at what happens, okay? Let's go from left to right. I got milliliters on bottom and on top. They cancel out. I got ounces on bottom and on top. They cancel out. I got gallons on bottom and on top. They cancel out. All I have left is liters, which is what I wanted, right? Now I just have to do the math. I don't really need to worry about this one, but I have a 29.5735. I have 128, and I have a 5. On the bottom, I have 1,000. It looks crazy, but it's not that hard. Now I just go to my calculator. I'm going to do 29.5735 times that by 128, times that by 5, and I get 18,927.04 divided by 1,000. Let's go ahead and divide that by 1,000 now in our calculator as well. And I have 18.92704 liters. And I know it's liters because that was the only unit left after I canceled everything else out. So I just answered how many liters are in 5 gallons. There's 18.92, so almost 19 liters in 5 gallons. Okay, this last one, part 4, is going to be a little bit hard. I mean, there's a few things you're going to have to do to get them to convert. I want you guys to try it. I'll do it with you guys. Since I've given you a few examples, I'll do it with you in a little bit, but I want you to try it first. So go ahead and try and convert 4 miles to kilometers. You have all the conversions up here under distance. And see if you can do it. I'd pause the video and I'll walk you guys through it in a second. Okay, remember I'm always starting with what I want to end with. I want to end with kilometers, so I just wrote down kilometers, and I'm going to ask myself what I know about kilometers. So I'm going to go up here and just take a look at this real quick. When it comes to kilometers, I know that's 1,000 meters. I don't see anything else here on kilometers. So let's see, what else do I know about meters? Well, I know that 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So I don't have anything else from centimeters to miles yet. I know that 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters, but I don't think that's going to help me. I have 1 centimeter is 0.394 inches. Now I might be onto something because over here, oh yeah, and I also have 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. So I have either way. But I can go from inches to feet, and I can go from feet to miles. So there's a lot of conversions going on here. But that's okay. I can do that all. It's just going to be, you know, plugging a bunch of things in my calculator. But it's really pretty simple once I have a good path here. So once again, I saw that I have kilometers to meters, meters to centimeters, centimeters to inches, inches to feet, and feet to miles. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's go down here. I said kilometers to meters. Again, I had 1 kilometer to 1,000 meters. Now I need to ask what I know about meters. Go back up. Remember, I know that there's 1 meter. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So I could say 1 meter is 100 centimeter. Okay, what do I know about centimeters? We said I was going to go from centimeters to inches. Now, I could use either one of these. I think I like this one better. So I'm going to just do this one. So I'm going to put the centimeter up on top. 2.54 centimeter, and that gives me 1 inch. So now I just need to go from inches to miles, and I'm going to do that by going from inches to feet. I have 12 inches in 1 feet, so just keep adding little bars and keep multiplying across. 12 inches is 1 foot, and I'm almost there because now I can do the last thing, which is how many feet are in a mile. Actually, I guess there's 2 steps because I got to do how many miles I have. But I have 5,280 feet in 1 mile, so let's write that in. 5,280 feet in 1 mile, and now I'm there. Okay, I got miles. They told me I have 4 miles, so I'm going to go ahead and write 4 miles here. Let's go through. Canceled our units. Look, I got meters on top and bottom. I got centimeters on top and bottom. I got inches on top and bottom. I got feet on top and bottom. And I got miles on top and bottom. A bunch of these things just canceled out. So let's look at the math. Remember, I don't really have to worry about the ones. I know that I'm in kilometers because it's the only unit left. So what do I got here? I got 2.54 and I'm going to use parentheses just because it's a little bit easier when you're dealing with decimals, times 12 times 5,280. And then on the bottom I have 1,000. Oops, I forgot about the 4. Don't forget about that 4. 1,000 times 100. Okay, it looks really complicated, but it's really not. It's just all about finding that path. And once you find the path, just plug in the numbers. We're going to just multiply straight across on our calculator. So we get 2.54 times 12 times 5,280 times 4. And we got this big number. It's 643,737.6. And then when you do 100 times 1,000, you should end up with, well, that makes sense, 100,000. And now we just do stop divided by the bottom. So 643,737.6 divided by 100,000, and we get 6.437376. Now I probably don't need all these decimals, but it's nice that I can be exact if I needed to for some reason. Again, kilometers was the only unit left, so I'm just going to put kilometers. And there we know. Well, now we know that 4 miles is equal to 6.437 about kilometers. Okay. Now I did some of these hard ones on purpose to show you that converting these with this method is really, it's not that hard mathematically. It's just setting up this chart. Once you set up this chart, the answer just kind of comes to you. It just follow this pattern, and the math is just real easy. So now let's go to some more challenging problems on the next page here. Okay. This one is just I kind of want to remind you of this basic formula. This is for any rate problem. You can always just use the formula DIRT. Distance equals rate times time. The DIRT is just an acronym. So distance, D is your distance or your unit of measurement. I mean, it could be gallons, it could be feet, it could be miles, it could be liters, who knows what, but that's your unit of measurement. So D for your distance or unit of measurement. R for your rate of speed, always written as a ratio or a fraction. So when we're talking about 60 miles per hour, that's actually a fraction. That's 60 miles over 1 hour. Time, that's your time. Hours, minutes, second, whatever it is. Okay. So let's just play with this a little bit. Monica can clean 36 rooms in 3 days. How many rooms can she clean in a week? Okay. So there's a couple different ways of dealing with this. We can use our unit conversions that we did earlier, or we can set up a basic equation and solve. I'm going to try and do both with you guys right now. Just you guys can pick and see which way you like the best. So first, let's just use the method that we were learning before. Remember, we want to know how many rooms. So let's just start with rooms. Now, what do we know about rooms? Well, we know that Monica can clean 36 rooms in 3 days. Okay, this is a rate. Really, if you look at this, this is rooms per days. Now, what else do we know about days? Because remember, we want this days to cancel out. Well, we don't really know anything about days, but we do know that they're asking us how many rooms she can clean in a week. Now, you might just see that and go, I know, there's 7 days in a week. But let's just do this the long way so we can kind of practice it. So what do I know about days? Well, I know that there's 7 days in 1 week, and they're asking me about 1 week, so I'm going to multiply that by 1 week at the very end. Okay. Now, this last part, I don't think we really need to do. We could have seen, hey, 1 week is 7 days. But the point is, it cancels out. We got our week taken care of that they're asking us about. And then my days cancel out, and all I'm left with is my unit rooms. And I have 36 over 3 times 7. So I can write that out. The math there would be 36 times 7 over 3. Now you could just multiply straight across and then divide. That's fine too. But I want to show you that we could actually simplify here real quick because 3 goes into 36. So what I would do is say, well, how many times does 3 go into 36? Well, it goes in there 12 times. So this is like saying 12 times 7 over 1. I just reduce this part of the fraction. And that's totally fine as long as you're just multiplying across, which we're always going to be doing when we're dealing with unit conversion. So I don't really need the 1 on bottom anymore. All I have to do is 12 times 7. 12 times 7 is 84. So there's our answer, is 84. All right. So if you like that method, do it that way. That'll work. If you don't like that method or that's confusing to you, you want another way and you like equations, we'll do the other way in blue here. Always start with this equation, distance equals rate times time. And we're going to just use this equation to set up a problem here, or to solve this problem. Now, remember, they're asking how many rooms we can clean. That's our unit of measurement. So we're actually going to solve for D. So I'm just going to say D equals, what's my rate? Well, they told me my rate right here. They said it's 36 rooms in 3 days. So I'm going to write 36 rooms per 3 days. And because that's my rate. I could kind of put parentheses around it here so you can see it. And then lastly, my time. They gave me a time. They said a week. Again, we know that that's 7 days. So I'm just going to put 7 days. So all I'm doing is following this basic formula, D equals R times T. I'm plugging in the different parts. And I'm just going to solve. Again, this is really simple here. My days units will cancel out. I got 36 divided by 3. As you can see, that's 12. And we know that the only unit left is rooms. So I have 12 times 7 rooms. And 12 times 7 is, again, 84 rooms. So we got the same answer in both. See, I had 84 rooms. I forgot to write the rooms in the last problem. But the point is, either way of these problem-solving strategies work. I think a lot of you guys are going to like this once you practice it a few times, really understand that all you're doing is putting what they're asking for, how many rooms, start with rooms, and just kind of work your way through with everything else that you know, and you'll get your answer. But if you're an equation person like me, this might make more sense to you, so you can use it that way. Do whichever way you like. Go ahead and once you practice it on this next one, it says Frank can complete 98 oil changes in 7 days. How many oil changes can he do in 10 days? So I'd pause the video and go ahead and try this one on your own. Okay, so I showed you how to do this one by the first method. I started off by saying, hey, they want to know about oil changes, so I wrote down oil changes. Then I said, what do I know about oil changes? I know there's 98 oil changes per 7 days. And then I said, hey, well, they want to know about 10 days, so I put 10 days up here. The days cancel out. So really the math is just 98 times 10 divided by 7. But I noticed that I could take a 7 out of both of these numbers, and that would leave me a 1. So I'd get 14 times 10 divided by 1. Again, I don't really need to worry about the 1. So I have 14 times 10 is 140 oil changes. That's my answer, because that's the only unit left. And 14 times 10 is 140. So hopefully you're getting the hang of this. We'll play with it more in class, but I want to make sure you guys are seeing this system, and it works pretty well. All right. This is one I want you guys to just try. I'm going to be checking to see that you tried it in class. I'm not going to put the answer up here. We'll talk about it. Hopefully in class we have time. But it says, Sabrina can paint 25 square yards, 25 square yards in 3 hours. How many square inches can she paint per second? Now, something really important here is, look, the unit of measurement in space, or an area that they give us, is first in square yards, and then it's in square inches. So we're going to have to convert these, as well as our time is in hours, and they want to know per second. So a lot of stuff going on there. Give it your best shot. Again, we'll try and play with it in class so you can see how to do this one. All right, see you guys on the next video.